Good morning, friends. Someone was trying to give up smoking. He went to a senior and said, "I'm tired of this habit of smoking. I'm not able to give it up." So the senior person said, "What do you say? It's so easy to give up smoking. I have given it so many times. I promise it, give it up. Then how do you give it up so many times?" Say, "Oh, I promise, and after some few days I cannot remain with this." So that is the human nature. We promise the things, but very with difficulty we keep all the promises. So today the topic is keeping the promise. What is promise? Promise, according to dictionary, is a statement assuring someone that the person making the statement will do or not do something. He says, "I will do this," or "I will not do this." He or she asserts and he has to keep that what he said and act on it. That is the promise. When what he committed, he gives that, he is keeping the promise. What he committed, he fails to commit. He said he won't do that, and he starts doing that. So he broke the promise. So promise is like a kind of vow. Vow also is a promise, a solemn promise by which one binds oneself to an act or service. There are so many stories of vow being undertaken and kept. We will discuss that. Promise is like a pledge. In pledge also, generally it is on donating something, giving something, helping something. I will do this. And any difficulties on the way to keep that pledge, excuse me, one doesn't care and keeps the pledge. It's a kind of commitment, a resolution. We know about the New Year resolution. We promise to do something better, but in the course of weeks, not even it goes to months, and we forget about that. Why we fail to keep the promise? What are the stories that promises and vows have been kept? The essential impetus to keep the promise is simply being truthful to oneself and to others. When we have this slackness in being truthful, we are unable to keep the promise. So we should be strong, attached to keep that truthfulness in us. Truthfulness is a fundamental spiritual quality. Without truthfulness, society will not be together, and without truthfulness, an aspirant cannot reach God, because God Himself is truth. Sri Ramakrishna, he says, after having the vision of Mother Kali, he went to the Divine Mother with flowers in his hand and takes one flower and says, "Mother, here is your knowledge. Take this. Here is your ignorance. Take this. Whatever knowledge I have, please accept that. Whatever ignorance I have, I give that to you also. But give me pure love for thee. I don't want knowledge. I don't mind ignorance if I have pure love for thee." And next flower he takes up and says, "Mother, here is thy holiness, here is thy unholiness. Accept both and give me pure love for thy lotus feet. Here is thy dharma, righteousness, and here is thy adharma, unrighteousness. Take them both I don't mind anything, but give me love for thy lotus feet. After describing how he prayed to Divine Mother, for the love of her lotus feet, for attachment to Mother, for devotion to Mother as the supreme priority in his life, he describes, I gave Mother everything, but I couldn't say, Mother, here is your truth and here is your untruth, take both them and give me pure love for thy lotus feet. He couldn't give up truth. If truth is given, on which will be based his offering of those things? On what will be based his prayer for the devotion of the Divine Mother? So truth is the basis of society, basis of human being. If there is no truth, we are no more human being. Society will crumble up if there is no truth and honesty. We know how this keeping the truth, keeping the promise is not always an easy affair. It needs a lot of sacrifice sometimes. But it gives strength. The more we pay for keeping the truthfulness, for keeping the promise, for maintaining the vow, the more we become strong in character and more we become the strength of mind. We stand straight if we are ready to sacrifice anything for the promise that we have made. Without promise, we are not human beings. With promise, keeping the promise, we raise ourselves slowly to the level of God. Just now we heard the story. Sri Ramakrishna, he promised that he would come when Rasik will have his last breath of life. And he comes. That is the keeping of promise. God always keeps promise. One who always keeps promise raises himself or herself to the level of God. The difference between man and God is adherence to truthfulness, kindness, knowledge, love, all-encompassing love and fearlessness. That is what makes a man transform into God. We know the story of Rama. Rama's father, Dasaratha, once became very pleased with his wife, Kaikeyi, one of the three wives, Kaikeyi. And Kaikeyi had sacrificed something in the battle and helped Dasaratha, by which Dasaratha won and saved his life. And he said to Kaikeyi, you have been dear to me, I am very dear to you today. You ask any two things, I am ready to give. When they promise that way, whatever the person will ask, they are bound to give and they will give. No condition is left. But what she asked, see, if she asked the throne, I want to be the empress, you come down from the throne. Dasaratha will give that because he promised that. That's what the promise is. When it is unconditional promise, it can be anything. But the problem with us, we can't keep even the conditional small promises that we make to others or we make to ourselves. So Kaikeyi said, I have no desire, no want. I have you. With me, I have everything. So I keep these two boons for future. Whenever I feel like asking you, I will ask you of these two boons. After that, many years rolled. Love between Kaikeyi and Dasaratha was intact. And Dasaratha had 4 sons from 3 wives. The eldest, Rama, was loved and respected by all. And perhaps Kaikeyi loved him most. Rama was so much beloved of whole kingdom. And Kaikeyi, his stepmother, loved him most. And one day Dasaratha announced that he is going to be enthroned as crown prince, as king, and I will step down. Thank you. On the eve of his enthronement, Rama got the news that Dasaratha had become sick. So Rama goes to Dasharatha. Next day was he being crowned. Rama was to be crowned. He finds Dasharatha very morose, sad and sick. And he asked, "What's the matter, Dad? The whole country is rejoicing." In the meantime, what had happened? Kaikeyi was very happy. Rama, his dearest son, his stepson, would be enthroned as king tomorrow. One of her maid comes to her and says, "Why are you so happy today?" And Kaikeyi said, "Don't you know? Tomorrow Rama is being enthroned as the king. And it's great joy. Such a wonderful person, ideal person, was never thought of. It was only in the mind of the people that what the ideal person can be, and we have Rama, and Rama will be the king." The maid was a very crooked lady. She said, "You are rejoicing. Rama is your stepson. So it is not good for you to lose your own son Bharata as mere prince and make the Rama king. You should, don't you remember you had 2 boons? You should ask of those boons that Rama should not become king. Rama should be sent to forest, and with the first boon you ask that, with the second boon you ask, Bharata should be the king." And on that happy moment, she asked, Dasharatha reminds of this promise, and Dasharatha hears this, and he cannot say, "I cannot do that." Now he is in a fix. Here is a great occasion. His most dearest son is going to be king, and another is keeping the promise. What he will do? He becomes sick. Rama hears this thing from Dasharatha. Rama says, at that moment, next day he was going to be the king. Rama says, "Father, why do you worry? You have to keep a promise. You had given words to mother. Whatever may come, that words have to be kept." And Tulsi Das writes a beautiful verse for this. "Raghukula riti sada chali aayi, prana jai baru bachan na jai." It has been the tradition, Father, in our lineage, Raghukula riti. This has been the tradition in our lineage of the lineage of Raghu, that we have been keeping the promise always. Although for that, the earlier generation might have to give their own life, but they kept the promise. Why do you worry? Going to the forest is not killing myself. Even if that I had to do to keep the promise, I will do that happily. I will go to the forest tomorrow, and you will keep your promise. And Rama gives up everything. And beautifully Tulsi Das writes, the next day, Rama was supposed to be the king. Now he had to go to forest for 14 years. The king had to become a forest dweller. And what was the emotional change in Rama? No change. The face that was glowing the day before when he was to be king, the same face was there glowing the next day when he had to give up everything, and for 14 years he had to dwell in the forest with total uncertainty. And he prayed that may that face protect us, which was so much control for any situation that may come. That is the story of Rama's keeping the promise. Not his promise, but promise of his father. But he was so proud of the keeping words of the lineage that he said that the promise that has been done cannot be broken. That is the tradition of our lineage. And that is the tradition of human lineage. One who breaks promise becomes a lesser human being. So that Rama story tells. There was another great saint in the lineage of Raghu, Harishchandra. He was also a very truthful person. For him, he could do anything for truthfulness. So he was so truthful, he said something that he will do, he had to do that. Once what happened in the dream, he saw a rishi coming and he gives him his kingdom. In the dream, he wakes up and finds his dream. He was so truthful that he said, even in dream, he never told a lie. He never broke a promise, even in dream. So, waking up, he says, I had that dream. I have to fulfill. So, he invites that rishi and he says, take this land I saw in the dream. And gives up his whole kingdom to that rishi and becomes a menial worker in a cremation ground. That was the king turning into a worker in the cremation ground. So that they could sacrifice for the sake of keeping the promise. And this case, the promise was done in dream. They were so truthful. And those Harishchandra's story inspires us even today. There is another great person in the history, in the mythological history, is Bhishma. What happened? Bhishma's great promise. In fact, the Bhishma means something great vow that he has taken. Bhishma Pratigya, a great vow that he has taken. What happened? Bhishma was the son of Shantanu and Ganga, his wife was Ganga. Shantanu had seen Ganga, fell in love with that Mother Ganga, that river Ganga has taken the form of human beings. He was so pure as Ganga herself. And he said, I want to marry you. Ganga said, I can marry, but whatever I do to the children, you cannot say anything. If you say and you obstruct me from my freedom to do with my children, you and my children, that very moment I will go away. So they were living, the children were born, the first boy was born. What Ganga did the very first day, she took the boy and drowned in the river, Ganga herself. This boy, this father, Shantanu, was dumbfounded what this lady is doing. But he had promised that he cannot do anything. If he asked, the promise was not that he cannot do anything. If he asked why she was doing anything, that she will leave. Next year, second baby, like that 7 years, 7 babies were born. And every baby was born and he would just throw it in the Ganga river. Now the 8th boy was born, they kept name Devabrata. And that was born, Ganga, father, the Shantanu was apprehensive. Really Ganga took the boy and was going to the river. This time, Shantanu couldn't stand. He said, what are you doing? You have taken my 7 children like that and thrown in the Ganga. I am childless. And what are you going to do with this 8th child also? That Ganga said, there was a contract that if you ask anything to my doing, any question, I will go away. This very moment, I will go and merge in Ganga itself, leaving the boy back to you. That was Devabrata, Mother Ganga child. Very holy, very pure. He grew up wonderful prince. Everybody liked him. Truthful, strong, intelligent. All the qualities were there. So what happened? This very Shantanu, Ganga left him when he was young. He was going in some sojourn. He found a poor lady of a fisherwoman, and he wanted to get married with her. Then he proposed to her father. That the name of the girl was Satyavati. The father, that fisherman, was a wise man. He said, King, you are a great king, I am a poor fisherman. You are going to get married to my daughter, but what will happen to her status as a queen? He said, yes, she will be the queen, authorized queen of mine. What about her children? Will they be the king? He said, yes, he will be the king. But you have this Devabrata, this great prince, who will accept the Satyavati children as the king and not as the Devabrata? Then Devabrata said, he heard, and Shantanu also became sick. He couldn't say that Devabrata will not be the king. It was a fiasco like the Dasaratha's case. So, finding this Shantanu, his father, sick, Devabrata asked him, what is the matter? And he found out, this is the matter. He goes to that fisherman, Satyavati's father, and says, I promise that I will not accept the throne. That fisherman was still very wise man. He said, I understand. You will not accept the throne. But what will happen to your children? They will be the legal heirs, and you are so liked by everyone, you are so intelligent, you are good in all respects. Then Devabrata said, if that makes you fearful, I will not get married ever. I will practice continence all my life. Then what about her children if they are unable to rule the kingdom? So I will look after the kingdom. So these promises he made. He will never become a king, he will never marry, and he will take care of the throne of Hastinapur. And the situation, these were not easy things. He had to practice celibacy throughout his life. These were the great vows that he took. Because of these vows were great, he was called Bhishma. Because he did Bhishma Pratigya. Bhishma means a great, very honorable, very difficult. That is Bhishma. And what happened? Situation became like that Satyavati's once he had fought someone and brought one girl to get married to his brother, stepbrother. The girl declined to marry the stepbrother. He said, "You have brought me, now you should marry me." That was the rule. In a fight, whenever one king abducts a girl, the girl will be married to that king. When that girl was brought, the girl said, I was in love with another prince and he brought me forcibly. Then Bhishma said, I'm sorry, then you can go to your earlier beloved person. When she went there, she was refused. You have gone to another person, I won't accept you. Then this girl named Amba was in a fix what to do with her. So she goes to Bhishma's guru, Parashurama, and says that I want to get married to Bhishma. He has declined, so what should I do now? Parashurama, Bhishma's guru, says, I will call Bhishma and ask him to marry you. Parashurama says, get married to that girl. You have abducted her, and that is according to the tradition, you have to get married to her. If she doesn't want to get married to another person whom you want. Then Bhishma said, you are my teacher. I am supposed to obey you in anything. But you can take my life, but I will not break my promise. So he didn't break his promise. And there was a big battle between Parashurama and Bhishma. They say for 23 days, no one won, no one lost. And ultimately, Parashurama was very happy and he said, keep your promise, doesn't matter. And there is another story of Amba. Bhishma was Satyavati herself told later on to Bhishma to become the king. Bhishma said, no, I will not break my promise. So he upheld what he promised throughout his life. For that he had to sacrifice many things. He had to fight even with his own guru, but he never went against what he had promised. So these are the stories from mythology that we find how one has to sacrifice everything for keeping the promise. Why it is that we do not keep our promise intact? What makes we say that? Like smoking is one thing, many people know the evil of smoking, but they are not able to give it up. Many people know the evil of drinking, they are not able to give it up. And they promise. Many New Years, many of us promise, I will do this, I will not be doing that evil thing. We do not keep. What is the reason? One reason is lack of understanding of the value of truth. When we promise to ourselves that the truth has to be upheld in every situation. When I have said that should be done, like Rama reminded, that is the tradition of Raghus, that they always upheld the truth even at the cost of giving their life. Where is that commitment to upkeep the truth? If that commitment is there, then we will be able to say what we promise, what we take the vow. Another thing that we often do not do, suppose a spiritual aspirant, he or she says, I will get up a little early, half an hour early, and do practice. Do japam as the Guru has said, or do prayer or meditation as it has been told. But after doing promise one day, he or she does, 2 days does, from third day something happened, little headache, or I was late to sleep, and that promise is broken. That is never done. And that is so common case. Even Holy Mother, who used to get up very early in the morning, see how she analyzes. So one day something happened, she couldn't get up early in the morning. And very next day, she doesn't feel like getting up. That she used to get up very early, about 2:30 or 3 in the morning. So she said, I'll get up a little late. And suddenly she remembers, oh, I am becoming lazy. I am becoming addicted to this type of nature, not keeping the promise. Suddenly she does hammer to her own will, and with her strong willpower, she gets up and starts her practice early in the morning. This strong willpower has to be developed to keep the promise. And that willpower comes from the commitment to upkeep the truth. Keeping the truth, without which we don't remain human being. That is the importance that we need to keep the truth, upkeep the truth. Another thing, as I said, is laziness. We say something to ourselves, good we'll do, and we are so lazy and we give up that thing. This tamas, lazy, not having the power to upkeep the word, not understanding the good that my good promise would have brought. So that is another thing that we fail to keep the promise. Sometimes it is unwilling to sacrifice for the truth. Sri Ramakrishna case, he said himself that I was so much adhering to the truth that I said one day I would go to the pine grove. And later on I felt there is no earth to go to the pine grove. But he said, once I had said to myself, I will go there and then come back without any reason, without any purpose. But because I had said that I will go, I had to go there. So much of this strong adherence to the truth that one speaks. In any case, and Sri Ramakrishna's case, one day he said to one person that I will go to your house. And in the process, in the daytime, conversation with the devotee, that he forgot. At night, sometime at night, dead of night, he remembers, I had said that I would go to him, and I didn't go, I totally forgot. What we would do, we would sleep, and next day we would say, sorry, I forgot. Sri Ramakrishna's case was not that. Then he remembered he should go. That very moment, he asked Hridaya, his attendant, and wakes him up from sleep, and said, Hridaya, get up and get ready. What, uncle? We have to go to that neighbor's house, a little far away in the Dakshineshwar village itself. You have to go. What time it is? It's dead at night. Everybody will be sleeping. That doesn't matter. I had said that I will go. I have to go. So dead at night, he took a lantern and accompanied by Hridaya, he goes all the way, and if the door was closed, he puts one foot in his compound, in his property, and says, hello, I have come now here. And then comes back without disturbing anyone. It seems, what is the sense in that? No purpose was met, but adherence to the truth. That I have given words, my words have to be kept. And Swami Brahmananda says, for a spiritual practice, if you can do two things, that is sufficient. One is being truthful at all time. Truthful to yourself, truthful to others. And second, seeing all women as your mother and treating them as mother. Do these two things perfectly, and you need not to do anything more. Tulsidas has also said, Satyavachana adhinata parastri matri saman. In तीनों से हरि न मिले तो तुलसी झूठ जवान. You can call Tulsi a liar. Tulsi was a great saint. He never spoke a lie. But still he said, you can call me a liar if you don't find God by practicing three things. What are the three things? Satyavacha. The first is truthful words. Always saying the truth. Truth are two ways. One, what has happened to say that truth. Another is whatever you promise to keep that promise. Both come under the truthfulness. Truthfulness, adhinata, dependence. Dependence on what? Dependence on God. Total dependence on God and God alone. Adhinata, para istri matri saman. All other women as seeing them as mother. Treating them as mother. Behaving them as mother. So practice these three things, O man. You will certainly see God. If you don't see God by practicing these, Tulsidas is a liar. What does it mean? Tulsidas is never a liar. He never told a lie. He just said, if you practice these three, you are certain to get God, to reach God, to realize God. Satyavachan, adhinata, parastri mati saman. Practice these, he said. Truthfulness has been so much important. About this promise, once Arjuna promised, how you see, this promise can make so difficult. Another thing I was going to say, how to keep our promise. The one thing is we should promise that what we can upkeep. You don't play the promise anything. Somebody wants some donation for something and he is in need of some, say, $10,000 and you are not sure, but you say, I will give you $10,000. Okay, you are my good friend, you can't say no in the face and say yes, okay. Then you calculate it is too much for you, you can't do that. So, don't say that you will give that $2,000, $10,000. Promise that you can keep. I can give $1,000. Or I will see. Let me see, I'll tell you later. If you don't want to hurt the person in his face, let's say, I will tell you later how much I can give. But don't promise that what you cannot do. Once you promise, the Shastra, the Dharma will say, you have to give. If you have promised, you have to give even if any difficulty comes to you. You had to go to India, cancel that for 2 years. Give that person $10,000 because you have promised. So promise only that you can keep. Once in the life of Arjuna, sometimes the things become so tricky, you see, this promise, keeping the promise. So Arjuna has said that whoever abuses or criticizes his Gandiva or his power of archery, he will kill him. He promised such a great thing. Whoever says bad words for his Gandiva, ignores his Gandiva, his bow, he will kill that person. Big promise. Somehow he made that. He was so confident of his bow and arrows, his power of his archery, he said a promise. In the course of time, this Mahamaya's place, so many things happens. Sometimes he couldn't save something and Yudhishthira become very angry on him. Perhaps he knew that what he had promised, but he said ill words to the prowess of archery and said ill words to his Gandiva. Your Gandiva is nothing. You could do nothing with Gandiva. Now Arjuna was in difficulty. He had promised anybody who says wrong or bad words to my Gandiva, insults my Gandiva, I will kill him. Now here is his own brother, elder brother, for whom his whole life is intact. He is to become a king. And he is so honest and good person, truthful person. What he will do? What he will do? Arjuna, all the Kshatriya, that is the strength, that is the power, that is the quality of Kshatriya. Whatever they promise, they will do. Otherwise, they have no power to rule, administer. They lose themselves. They do not become, Arjuna doesn't become Arjuna. He said, I have to kill Yudhishthira. Because he said bad words to my Gandiva, and I love my Gandiva so much. And I had promised that whoever says bad words to my Gandiva, I will kill him. This was a great fix. All other brothers were worried. Kunti was worried. Then at the time of this conflict comes, who will save? To find out the right way, you have to find God. Only God can save in such situation. Whenever there is conflict of things in us, when we go to God, solution will come. So Krishna comes, and Krishna to Arjuna there was very serious situation. Arjuna was ready to kill his elder brother, whom he loved and respected very much, because of his words, his promise. Krishna said, why do we have to kill him? He said, I have promised God, and promise has to be kept. Killing are many types. One is killing with bow and arrow and finishing his body. That is one killing. Another killing for a very respected person is humiliating, insulting that person. That is equal to killing. Go and insult Yudhishthira. If he is insulted, he is dead. That is the death. You don't have to kill him physically. That is equal to death. And that was the solution brought. So Arjuna went and insulted Yudhishthira, said all words, and Yudhishthira felt bad, and the solution was, and the thing was done. He didn't have to break the promise, and Yudhishthira was also saved. There is one saying in Hindi, it says, there are sometimes some situation comes when you have to save your stick and kill the snake. So you have a stick, and snake has come, and you are not sure that break the snake, hit the snake, that stick may be broken. So how to save the stick and still kill the snake is the trick in life that we often need to know. So at that time, wisdom works. If we fail to have our own wisdom, God helps. Prayer helps, meditation helps, and God will say to our mind how to find the right way. But never to deviate from the truthfulness. When we practice truthfulness, such solutions are given by God in our mind. Such solutions comes. So how can we keep our promise? The one is, we should promise, keep what we can keep. We should be very alert in doing the promise. Don't say that, I will do that. Second is, we need to have very strong conviction about being truthful at all costs. Truthfulness is the backbone of character. If we are not a person of character, we are not human beings. We have to build strong character, and that has to be based on truthfulness. In Raja Yoga, Patanjali gives the first of the practices of yoga is yama. And the 5 parts of yama, 5 things of yama are ahimsa, satya. The very second is satya. First, of course, is ahimsa. Non-injury to others. Don't inflict pain to others. Don't kill others. That is don't harm others. That is the first. And the very second basis of spiritual practice according to Patanjali is satya, truthfulness. Because God is truth. And if you are not truthful to yourself, you cannot achieve. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. I gave everything to mother. I don't want anything. But I could not give truthfulness to her. And say, here is truth, here is untruth, take the good. I could not say that. That conviction to keep the truthfulness has to be there, then the promise will be kept. So make the promise that you can do. And if once it is done, you must keep it. This comes with with our vows are also like that. Marriage vows, birthday vows, New Year resolution, all like that. Once it is done in front of, that's why the marriages are done in the churches, temples, holy places, where God is the witness, or the fire is the witness, or the people are the witness. So you keep the witness to say that if you break the promise, what the people will say? You will be insulted. You will get low in the eyes of other people. That is one thing of the witness. Another is, if there is no witness, your heart is the witness. God is ever the witness. That's why if you don't marry in a church or a temple or in front of fire, you get your registered in the court. That is also witness. So even if there is no witness, your mind is the witness and God is always the witness. So you, in all costs, you have to keep the promise. We often, in this society nowadays, if there is no little adjustment, there is breaking of all these vows of marriages. But there has to be an attempt to keep if once you have promised, then there should be, when you break the promise, it is really a less spiritual quality. You have failed in something because you had promised in front of God, in front of fire, in front of your relatives, in front of the judge. And promise should be kept. If I fail, other person fails, there is something wrong in my dealing. I am becoming less spiritual. If I am spiritual, there is a solution to every human relation. That is the saying of the Shastras. The third thing which will make us strong in keeping the promise is reading the life of these great persons who had kept all at the time of danger and conflicts. What saves us? What we get knowledge? That's the memory. Memory saves us. Oh, it happened to that person. Holy Mother did that. Swami Vivekananda did that. Ramachandra did that. Why should I not be able to do this? So this life of this great person has dangers, and at the moment it comes to us, then we become very strong and it helps us to ward off that situation. So reading the life of great persons, reading the scriptures help. Another thing that helps to keep the promise is holy company. Holy company inspires us to become unselfish. Because we love some person, some ideal, we try to serve them. At that moment when we are very happy in the presence of holy company, we have forgotten our own self. We don't consider our small gains and losses. We are in different state of the mind. That is the power of holy company. Why we are so happy in holy company? Many people say, Swami, when we come to the temple, we are in a different state of mind. When we go out and act in the world, there is a different situation. Why we are here so in that way? Why we feel so peaceful and happy here? Because we give up our petty selfishness. We become unselfish. To that extent we are happy. The condition for happiness is unselfishness. Not thinking for yourself, but for other. Not I, but thou is the mantra for happiness. And with unselfishness, fearlessness is born. And often we deviate from truth because of fear. Choosing between the fear and compromise in the society and the truthfulness, we often take the side of compromise. Something to ward up the difficult situation and give up the truth. We don't give right importance to the truthfulness. Truthfulness, adhering to the truthfulness is very important in our spiritual life. If we understand that, we will not speak the truth. Not in any case should we ever say that untruthfulness or saying a lie is justified. You cannot justify lie in anything. So that much conviction will come with the power of holiness. Holiness will give you unselfishness. Unselfishness will give you fearlessness. Why we are afraid? Because of selfishness. We are unselfish. I don't care for myself. I am fearless. And fearlessness will motivate you to keep the truth. And when you have practiced in your life keeping truth, then the promises you make automatically, you cannot give up the promise. As we see in the life of great heroes. Swami Vivekananda said, when you are born as a human being, keep a mark on this earth, on this world. Because everyone will die. After you die, what remains? So what is that mark? That mark is the mark of character. And character's backbone is truthfulness. With truthfulness, everything, other good qualities will come. Self-sacrifice will come, unselfishness will come, fearlessness will come, because without these, you will not be able to keep to truthfulness, and unless we keep and adhere to truthfulness, we will not be able to keep the promise. We should be strong in character, strong in truthfulness, and we are sure to keep the promise that we